It is the afternoon after the night before, and the Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester City 2 defeat that meant it looks incredibly unlikely that Arsenal will be able to win the Premier League this season. And the fallout at Tottenham Hotspur inside and outside the stadium and the club has been massive. And of course, the press are jumping all over it. They're loving it. They're trying to cause a split between Ange Postecoglu and the fans. There is a section of fans who are currently going in on Ange Postecoglu, specifically on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and saying that he doesn't have the right to be angry at how the fans reacted last night. The fans are saying that Ange doesn't have the right because he didn't get passionate enough after we lost 4 in a row or after we lost a North London derby at home. It is a fascinating time to be a Tottenham Hotspur fan. And today I'm going to go through those quotes from Ange Postecoglu's press conference after the game and tell you what I think he meant and what I think he's getting at and how I think he is utilising this perfect storm, a rare perfect storm that last night was, as collateral to try and change the entire mentality from top to bottom of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. This is the Spurred On podcast. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do give this video a like. Please do press subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're watching on YouTube, go over to the podcast platforms, be that Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give me a subscribe or a follow and a rating, and vice versa. If you're listening, thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. Come on over to YouTube at Barnaby Slater _. Give me a subscribe there. And you can, of course, become a Spurred On Pro or Patreon member. All the details in the description box. Only £1 a month really helps me bring you this daily Tottenham Hotspur content. So let's get straight into it. After the game, in fact, during the game, Ange Postecoglu was as outwardly emotional and upset and angry as we've seen him at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. He had the scrap with the fan who was behind the dugout during the game. To all intents and purposes, it seemed like that fan was telling him to throw the game throughout, and he lost his rag and he pointed at him and he shouted at him. And for me, even though I've been honest, I wanted Tottenham not to win that game. I wanted us to lose that game because of what it would be like with Arsenal fans around us, because of the abuse we would get. Even though I admit that, I think Ange was right to call out that fan. I think being in the stadium, you can't support the opposition. I was doing the watch along on We Are Tottenham TV. When Tottenham had chances, I was excited. I wanted us to score. It's conflict. That's what it is. It's absolute conflicted opinions. I was incredibly impressed with how Tottenham played last night. And if we'd won that game, I would have been talking about it in terms of it being a huge moment for our project going forward and for next season. But I would have been also gutted that we had handed the Premier League to Arsenal. It's conflict. That's what it is. But anyway, let's go through these Ange quotes because they are huge, actually. Really huge moment. Not just in terms of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but in terms of how managers talk in the Premier League. So he said, I think the last 48 hours have revealed the foundations, by which he means at Tottenham Hotspur Club, are fairly fragile. Outside the club, inside the club, everywhere. It has been an interesting exercise. It's just my observations. I'm not going to tell you more. You can make your own assessment of what happened. Now, of course, straight away there are fans who are angry that he's not being more specific, that he's being vague, that he's not explaining exactly what he means. But I think this is kind of perfect media play from Ange. He's sending a message, not just to the players, not just to the board, not just to the fans, to everybody, that he has seen it. He's watched what's happened, and he thinks it is a mentality issue from top to bottom. And you can argue that it is. I think, in terms of what I think he means, I think he's genuinely surprised at the depth of feeling from the Tottenham fans at how they would have preferred, in the most part, both inside and outside the stadium, for Manchester City to win that game. I think he was shocked at the apathy. People are jumping on him saying that he means, when he said inside the club, they think he's assuming that something has happened inside the club, be it a player has come to him and said, we need to lose this game. Or maybe Daniel Levy has gone to him and said, we need to lose this game. I don't believe that to be the case. My personal preference is that I think when he's talking about inside the club, he's talking about inside the stadium last night, by which he's talking about the apathy with which the fans took to last night's game. There was no real atmosphere and push for us to get an equaliser, to get a winner. Had we got that equaliser, there wouldn't have been. And I think he was surprised at that. But is it a surprise? I mean, it's not a surprise to us, I don't think, or to most of us, because we live with that rivalry and that hatred and have done all our lives. He's new. He's a gun for hire. He's not experienced it yet. He's experienced it in Celtic for his 2 years at Celtic, the Glasgow derby, the Glasgow rivalry, as big, as hate-filled. It's religious. So he knows what it's about. But I think he was surprised that there wasn't more of an atmosphere when Tottenham actually played well last night, which they definitely did. Of course, it is possible that it could mean that there were staff at the club who were suggesting that it was like a win-win situation either way. If we win the game, good. It's a great scalp. It's great for the project. But if we lose the game, as we did, it means that Arsenal don't win it. But why wouldn't staff in the club think like that? They've been working at that club for years. They live and breathe it every day. They know what it's like being at the butt of Arsenal fans' jokes. They live and breathe the club. So I don't think either suggestion is wrong or either suggestion is right. You're all allowed to have your own feelings. Certainly, when I put up the my match review after yesterday, and I was pretty calm with it that we lost that game. I got a lot of abuse in my comments, and that's fine. You're allowed to abuse me for it. I've had people saying they're not subscribing to me anymore for it. That's fine. It's absolutely up to you. Next quote, Ange said, I probably misread the situation as to what I think is important and the endeavour to become a winning team. But that's okay. That's why I'm here. I just want to win. I want to be successful at this club. That's why I was brought in. Now, let's not forget, Ange Postecoglu is Australian. Australians, the most competitive animals. They really are. And I believe him. I fully believe him. He just wants to win. He doesn't care about the scenario. He just wants to win, and he wanted to win last night, and he couldn't believe that everybody else, 62,000 people, or however many it was in the stadium, weren't with him on that. He was completely shocked about it. But like I said, does he fully feel the reality of the hatred between the clubs? Not sure. More importantly from that quote that I'm taking from it, he says, that's why I'm here, to turn the club around from top to bottom, to instill the winner's mentality. Sure, a lot of fans are angry today, as I mentioned at the top. They're angry with Ange at not seeming to have shown this level of passion and anger when we lost the North London derby, or when we lost to Chelsea, or to Newcastle, in that run of 4 games, or 5 games in 6 that we've lost now. But I don't think it really matters when he chooses to bring it up. I personally don't. It just shows to me, he says, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And that's key to me. This, to me, lots of people saying, it's like when Conte lost his rag. It's not. It's really not. Because when Conte lost his rag, the football that he was playing at Spurs was turgid and horrible. And sure, if we'd won that game against Southampton, we would have gone 3rd in the league. Sure. But it was untenable. It was horrible to watch. And he was just fighting for a way out of the club. He wasn't getting enough money that he thinks he needed to have to win the league or to get up there challenging, which he was never going to get, realistically. It's not Chelsea. Tottenham isn't the old Chelsea or even the new Chelsea. You're not going to get hundreds of millions of pounds to spend on 1 or 2 players. It's not going to happen at this stage. We need to wait another 5-10 years when the proper proceeds of that stadium are going to really help us, in the same way that it took Arsenal 20 years nearly before they could properly spend money after moving to the Emirates. They moved to the Emirates in 2006. This stuff takes time. But what Ange did last night was not like Conte, because we're behind Ange. We love the football. Incredible performance last night. We went toe-to-toe with Manchester City. We showed at their own game, better than their own game, more excitingly than their own game, in terms of the passing and movement and tempo at times, that we can go toe-to-toe with them. And I'm so confident that when we give Ange the players he wants, and I think he probably wants 5, 6, 7 more, and that's fair enough. It'll take a couple of windows at least. But when he gets those players who are all technically proficient and confident on the ball, we will be playing beautiful football and we will be up there. Pep Guardiola said it himself. If Tottenham stick with this manager, they are going to be incredible. Very exciting to me that Ange said, even in his most angry moment, he's here. That's why he's here. He's here to stay. Another quote, he said, other people, what their priorities and interests are, I have zero interest in. I know what's important to building a winning team, and that's what I want to concentrate on. It is what it is. I can't dictate what other people do. They're allowed to express themselves however they want. But when we've got late winners in games, it's because the crowd has often helped us. I already knew what I wanted to do. I just have to make some adjustments to how I do it. Like I said again, he was shocked by the apathy of the crowd. He couldn't believe that the crowd weren't building momentum as we got more and more towards the end of the game, which we have the crowd have helped with all through the season. When Son went through on goal, I don't think there was the crescendo of noise that there would be against any other team in any other scenario. Like I said, it's a rare, perfect storm. And Ange couldn't understand it, and that's fair enough. He's not hardwired with the Arsenal hatred. He's not in the WhatsApp groups with the people who take the piss out of you. He's not had the bottlers tags. He's not had the empty trophy cabinet memes throughout his life. I get it. And he's totally allowed to feel like that, and he's the right person to be leading our club with that kind of mentality. But he shouldn't, and I don't think he did, but he shouldn't assume to know what we feel like or what some of us feel like. I get that not everybody feels the same way as I do. I think from those quotes, he is just using this as leverage, collateral, to come back stronger from this. To go to his players in pre-season next season saying, that will never happen again. We will make sure that will never happen again. You stick with me, you play how I tell you to play, and we will be challenging, and it'll be the Arsenal fans who are having to hope that other teams get the better of us. Just like they did back when we got to the Champions League final in 2019. Just like they did when they all rolled over and got their bellies rubbed by Leicester in 15-16, so to stop us. Just like they did when they gave it the whole third in a 2-horse race after we didn't win the title that season. They were scared of us then, and they will be scared of us again. I'm sure of it. I want to end this video by talking about all the positives there were from last night's game. The change of formation, the stylistic tweak, Mickey van der Ven on the left, Radu Dragusin coming in and showing that for me, he is an absolute monster. He's got the similar bite and will to win of Christian Romero. He is the perfect backup for Romero. I think maybe we need another left-sided backup to Mickey van der Ven at centre-back. But van der Ven has shown me enough in playing on the left that he can cover Destiny Udogie when needed. So maybe that frees up some more money to spend elsewhere in the team. I'm very excited about this summer. I'm sorry for all of you who feel like we should have won last night. They tried. The players tried. You cannot doubt that. They were outstanding. I was so impressed with them. I think next season is going to be very exciting, and I think that performance last night has put the bounce back in my feeling about Ange and about the team and about what we can do to challenge, as long as we don't go through the injury struggles we did in the middle of this season. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget, press subscribe, press like, go over to the podcast platforms, give me a follow and a subscribe there, and do become a Spurred On Pro or Patreon member. Only £1 a month and helps me to deliver this daily content for you. Come on, you Spurs.